Hi everybody, welcome back to Age of History 2. I just wanted to let you know that this will be a voiceover instead of my usual voicing it while I'm playing it, so if things sound a little bit more scripted than usual, that's why. So enjoy the video. So to start the game, I obviously picked my country, which was at this point in 1440, Benin. So once we started that, I set all the game parameters. Obviously, I picked about 25% in the conquering the world, and I didn't do much else. I set a fog of war to classic, and I set the difficulty to legendary. Then I went into customizing my taxes, my goods, my investments, and my research. Obviously to maximize both my profit and my research so I could get more technology points, which then I assigned prioritizing both population growth and research while giving some to all of them but colonization costs, because that isn't important right at the start of the game. I then started industrializing all of my territories, which was only like 3 at the time. So I increased that, and I increased my diplomacy with surrounding countries as to not incur all of their wraths once I started my conquest. I then spent a fair amount of turns building up money to invade my nearby neighbor Dahomey. Please don't criticize me on the pronunciation. I'm not looking up how to pronounce these because I'm lazy, mostly. It was a very quick invasion. It took very little effort. I claimed all of their land, and I then assimilated all their territories so they wouldn't rebel in the future, because that gets to be a bit of a pain. Once I was done with the last invasion, I spent time industrializing all of my territories, well, most of them, but most of them. I then made my diplomatic ties better before getting an army together to invade my neighbor to the north called Oyo, again on the pronunciation. I tried to do an ultimatum just to save myself the trouble about the war, but they weren't gonna go with that, so I had to do the invasion. The invasion in the south went rather quickly. I took most of the territory, but I struggled in the north after a short counteroffensive because I didn't allocate the correct amount of troops. I then proceeded to stomp them. I took most of the southern lands, but because I didn't have the required amount of points, I couldn't take the rest of the territories. Then I made a coalition with the country Timbuktu to attack Songhai. But in the end, it really didn't go anywhere because it ended in a peace deal, because I couldn't get the permissions to attract there. I moved my troops from the failed invasion to invade Noop, which was more accessible to my nearby troops, where I took all but one of the provinces, which I won't show later because it wasn't really worth including, but I did take that province later, and you can see it because it just disappears at some point. So if you guys notice that, that's really what happened. I then made an alliance with my neighbor to the north, Kono, which would prove to be beneficial to the both of us in the long run. I got a message from my ally Kono asking me to go to war with them against the country Mosai. Later you will see that we had to do this again, but moving on. I moved in to take a few more provinces because I was rather slim on them. I mean, not slim, but not doing the best. I did have to take out a bunch of loans because I was not financially prepared for a war, because I was not the one who wanted to do it, but in support of my ally, because if I didn't, they might not support me in the future. I did so just to please them. Once I took those loans out, I took a few provinces and claimed about 3 of them. It wasn't a ton, but I'm not going to complain. The only bad part is that they were separated from the rest of the country, making them a weak spot in my, defensive perimeter. To try to save Oyo from the fate of a lot of countries around me, I offered them vassalation, meaning that they would pay a little tax to me and they get to live. But they did not want that, so I sent troops to the border with them, and I invaded. It didn't really last long. It was a pretty easy invasion. They weren't the biggest of countries, and they weren't the best of countries, so it was a pretty easy invasion. If it looks like there's a jump cut, it's because I lost a bit of the footage because the game crashed, and this game is rather unstable because it hasn't been worked on since, I think, 2018. Devs, please come back. I love this game. I want to keep playing it. But since I lost the footage, it looks like there's a jump cut, so I'll just explain what happened. But I got some troops together for an invasion of that little country, it didn't go as well as I wanted it to, because I did not have the right amount of troops to take everything. So they pushed all the way up, so I had to recruit at 2 choke points. Once I had those 2 choke points secured, I pushed back through all the way to the back, and they didn't have any troops in reserve to really counteract me, so it was a pretty easy sweep once I got back. To continue my streak of rolling over a lot of smaller countries, I positioned my troops along the border with the country Kong. The invasion was swift, and I took all of the territory. Not really much more to say about it. After a little time passed, I did a lot of industrialization, but I was prepping a war, the final war, with Mosey. Remember, I said that earlier. Because my ally wanted to do it again. So I quickly moved a bunch of my troops to the border so I could help with that, and basically we pulled what people call the hammer and anvil maneuver. My ally made up the anvil portion, and I was the hammer, basically forcing them in, and they really didn't have a frame of escape, so the war was over very quickly. I took all the territory. Well, not all of it. I only got my ally got a bunch of the northern territories, so, you win some, you lose some. Getting right off the coattails with the second war with Mosey, I moved all of my troops to the border with Mali, the next biggest country in the region that wasn't one of my allies, and I declared war. I was out for blood, and after a little back and forth and me recruiting troops, I was in way over my head. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no troops to counterattack, and they were pushing all the way. So I went to my ally and I said, help, 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 help. And with the pressure from that and a few loans, I went in for round 2. I recruited a bunch of troops. I got in all of them in, and I took as much as I could. I couldn't get all of it, but we would be back later. I wanted to finish off the neighbors around Mali without actually going for Mali, so I took out, there were 2 countries, I'm only including clips of 1. To end the video, I took out this one weird shaped country to the north of me because it really wasn't, it wasn't really a threat, but I didn't want to leave it for next time, so I thought I'd just take it out now. Other than that, I hope you guys like the new format of me not talking while playing the game, but doing it afterwards, because that means we can make a lot more progress, because I can just play, and then edit it afterwards. If you don't like it, or you do like it, let me know. I can always change it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye!